If God is commanding a blessing on your storehouse, doesn't that mean you need to have a storehouse in place?
Mm.
You can't receive what you haven't prepared for. So, in today's episode, we are showing you how to create purpose driven savings funds that not only align with your faith, but unlock your future. Saving isn't about lack, it's about readiness. Welcome to Wealth and Wisdom Together, the podcast that guides Christian women to financial fulfillment by walking boldly in your steward identity.
We're your hosts, Willa Williams and Wesley Eccles, founders of Trinity Financial Coaching and Sisters in Faith, here to help you align your money with your vision.
If you're a high achieving woman earning well but still wondering, why don't I feel further along? You aren't the only one who feels that way. And we're here to remind you that your path to wealth is unique and spirit led.
That's why each episode equips you to manage money confidently, live life purposefully, and build wealth intentionally without compromising what matters most.
Because you're listening or watching, you're already on the path. This podcast is here to help you keep going with faith, clarity, and real life strategy.
So like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss another episode, any episode at all. We're on this journey together. Welcome to another episode of Wealth and Wisdom Together. We're your hosts, Willa.
And Wesleya.
We're financial coaches and kingdom-minded women, passionate about helping you unlock your steward identity and confidently navigate your financial journey with purpose, peace, and power.
Now, what if I told you that saving money isn't about restriction? It's about obedience. Now, if your first response was turning up your nose or a deaf ear, that's exactly why you want to lean into this conversation. Because if your immediate gut reaction when you found out that we were talking about savings today made you go to a space that we're going to talk about in depth in this episode, you want to be here. You want to lean in because your savings account can become a space where God commands blessings.
Yes, and we all want to have that space.
Absolutely.
Deuteronomy 28:8 tells us, the Lord will command a blessing on you in your storehouses, and in all to which you set your hands. But here's the truth. If there's no storehouse, there's nowhere for that blessing to land. That's right.
Well,
If there is no storehouse, where is the Lord going to put that blessing? Because his word says he commands the blessing on you in your storehouses.
yes.
Yeah, let's keep talking.
This episode isn't about pinching pennies. It's about preparing your heart and your habits for supernatural provision. You're not just saving, you're building a legacy of wisdom, alignment, and readiness.
Yeah.
Let's define this. Biblically, a storehouse was the place where resources were kept, like grain, wealth, supplies, so the community could flourish through famine, drought, or future need.
Now, today, your storehouse could be maybe your emergency fund, a joy fund, your 401k, even a sinking fund for a future home. But more than that, it's an act of stewardship. It says, I trust God with what I have today, and I'm preparing for what he'll do tomorrow.
When God says he'll command the blessing on your storehouse, he's not just talking about a one time deposit. This is ongoing, intentional provision linked to your stewardship and your preparation.
You may have said this before. I can't save. I got bills, loans. Life is lifing.
Especially now.
Especially now. There's just never anything left over. Have you ever heard yourself say that?
Mm.
We hear you,
Mm-hmm.
but we also want to offer a new identity.
Say
We
it.
want to tell you that you are a savvy saver.
Mm-hmm.
You are capable, you are strategic, you are obedient, and your savings is a seed. It's not a sacrifice.
Yeah. When you save, you're not depriving yourself. You're practicing divine wisdom. You're saying, I will not live at the mercy of the unexpected. You're saying, I trust God not only for today, but for what's to come.
Sometimes there's some feelings of guilt and shame. So let's talk a little bit about breaking free from those feelings of saving guilt. Now, before we dive deeper into these strategies and systems, we need to pause and talk about something that doesn't get enough attention: savings guilt.
You know that inner voice that says, I should have been saving more by now? I hear that all the time, especially when people first call in for their clarity call and they're trying to explain to us, why they are seeking financial coaching. That is so common for us to hear that. I should have been saving more by now. If I were really successful, I wouldn't need to save. I just have it. Why do I feel guilty every time I choose saving over spending? Like,
Yeah.
that right there, that is shame talking. And listen, it's time to shut it down.
Shut it down. And that brings us to something we see come up a lot, but don't often talk about it directly: shame around saving money. Have you ever felt like you should be saving more, but instead of taking action, you freeze up or feel stuck in guilt? That's what we call saving guilt. And it's more common than you think.
I want you to remember, you're not behind, you're not broken, you're not bad with money. You're just becoming more aware, and awareness is the beginning of wisdom. And that means you're already moving forward.
So let's unlock some fresh insight. Here are 5 questions you probably haven't been asked, but they should shift. They really could shift everything. The first one: what emotions come up when you think about your savings account? Now, not the number, but the feeling behind your savings account. What
That's why
emotions come up?
that's why I said don't turn a deaf ear. That feeling,
Mm-hmm.
that's the
Mm-hmm.
feeling where you're just like,
I don't want to talk about that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm.
And the second one: do you believe saving money makes you more free or more restricted? Now, that answer tells you a lot about your relationship with money. Does it make you feel more free or more restricted? This makes more sense. Who taught you what success with money looks like? Who taught you that? And do you still agree with that? Do you still agree with that person? Do you still agree? Whatever it is that you use to develop your sense of how you feel about money, is it the same now as it was when you were 18, 20, 25? Well, what's something you've been wanting to save for, but haven't allowed yourself to name out loud? Look, go ahead, give it language. Vision needs vocabulary. Write it down, make it plain. And finally, if saving was your way of honoring your future self, how would it shift your habits today? That's the heart of stewardship. It's love in action for the life God is building for you.
Willa, I love that you shared those 5 questions to help bring about that shift. But I want to talk about a little bit about the silent pressures and the misconceptions many women have around saving. And for some, saving is subconsciously tied to the idea of not having made it yet.
Yeah, exactly. There's this misconception that if you have to save, it must mean you're not successful enough to spend comfortably. That can create an undercurrent of embarrassment or inadequacy. Like you're someone or somehow behind if you need to be intentional with your money. I think
No.
it's being wise.
Yeah, no. Saving means you're wise.
Yeah.
It's not a backup for failure. It's the launch pad for purpose. Here's another one. If I can't save a lot, I shouldn't bother saving at all.
Oh, that's that all or nothing thinking.
Yep.
That's not stewardship. That's perfectionism parading as wisdom. So
Say
just
that again. Wait a minute. What?
listen. That what you said, if I can't save a lot, I shouldn't bother saving
Yeah.
at all. That's that all or nothing thinking. It's not stewardship. That's perfectionism. Parading as wisdom, trying to hide and trying
Wow.
to slide in there. Start small. God honors the faithful seed. What about saving is restrictive?
Mm-mm.
Have you heard that?
No. Saving is releasing. It's making room for the freedom you desire without the burden of debt or the pressure of panic. Now, all of these misconceptions are rooted in saving shame. But the truth, saving is not a sign of failure. It's a powerful sign of vision. It says, I care about what's coming and I'm willing to prepare.
We have to remind you that you are not failing because you haven't saved enough. You're simply becoming more aware, and that is a holy shift. Now is the time to build a healthy, life giving relationship with savings.
Yes, it is. So let's talk about that. How do you do that? So if you've been wrestling with this guilt or this shame, we're going to tell you how to rise above it.
Well, first, you can acknowledge and understand the source. Where did your beliefs about saving come from? Like many of us, our parents, our culture, our church. You can't change what you won't name. Awareness is the first step to freedom.
And can I say
Remember.
this? When you're acknowledging the source,
Mm-hmm.
um, don't become resentful. Because oftentimes we have to remember each generation is teaching us or giving us the best of what it is that they know.
That's right. That's right.
And each generation should grow and learn and add to it. So if you are having this reflective thought, these answering these questions, don't sit back and feel bad because your parents only told you to stuff it under a mattress, or your parents didn't tell you, give you more practical context about any of the financial things that we talk about. Because again, each generation gives us the best of what they have and what they know. Culture is going to lead us astray, and your church tries. They really do. But there are some dynamics that are in the church teaching that leans a little bit towards scarcity mindset. And we just have to be aware of that. And like you said, awareness is the first step to freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in order to move forward from that, you have to reframe your mindset. Savings isn't about restriction, it's about preparation. It
Yes.
declares you trust in God's plan and your desire to partner with it. Savings, it is not a punishment,
No.
it's a plan. It's
Yes.
a form of self respect and divine alignment. You're telling yourself, I'm honoring God and my future with every dollar I save. Reframing your mindset allows you the opportunity to free yourself from however your savings mindset was originally developed culture, parents, church, however, you can reframe it.
Yes.
Another thing is challenging negative thoughts. Start noticing when thoughts like, I should be further along, or this isn't enough show up. Those things, they just kind of pop in our heads sometimes, especially when we're talking about money. Then ask yourself, is that true or is that shame speaking? Bring those thoughts captive to truth, because truth says what I'm doing is enough for now. I'm building, I'm growing, I'm sowing. I'm aligning with the future God is building through me.
You say it, Willa.
Just keep telling yourself that.
Yes,
Keep
I
telling
love
you.
it.
Yes.
I'm building, I'm growing, I'm sowing, I'm
Yes.
aligning with the future God is building through me. I love that.
Hey, that's what you have to do to reframe that mindset and walk in this new journey.
Now, some of you might need to take a moment and have a little bit of a deeper reflection. So that's where I'm going to go in the line of this reframing of questions, right? I mean, reframing of questions in the line of reframing questions. So the next questions that I have are going to help you again move from guilt to grace. That's where we're trying to get you, from guilt to
Yes.
grace when it comes to savings. Now, Willa talked about that story, right? So in the story, now that you've identified like where this story is coming from, what story did you absorb growing up about people who save too much or not enough? Think about that. Was saving associated with fear, control, or wisdom? How about stinginess? There's a narrative there, and naming it is the first step to shifting it. And many of us, if we were born in a poverty stricken household, we have some direct connections to how people acted as it relates to money and
Yeah.
saving.
Yeah.
And so you have to, for you, figure out what that narrative is. If saving money felt like self care, how would you do it differently? Now, everybody wants a soft life. Everybody's talking about self care and taking care of themselves and their well being. So, if saving money felt like self care, how would you do it differently? That's a whole new lens, right? Saving as something that fills you up but not drain you.
Mm.
Think about it.
Mm.
Okay, now here I got a third one. What do you think saving money says about you? And is it even true? Now, this one goes deep. Are you attaching your worth to your ability to save freely? Is there shame hidden in your savings habits? So, again, reflect and think about that. Where is the guilt? Where is the shame coming from? Number 4, if you were mentoring your younger self about money, what would you say about saving?
Mm.
I'm hoping this brings about compassion and maturity because you know more than you think you do. And that wisdom matters. And the last one, what would change if you saw savings as a form of faith instead of fear?
Mm.
When we say we're making room for the future God is calling us to, that's why I love what Willa said when she reframed that thought, when she said, I'm building, I'm growing, I'm sowing, I'm aligning with the future God is building through me.
Yes.
Make room for the future that God is calling you into. It's stewardship, it's trust, and it's obedience.
Mm. This is excellent because reframing your mind and getting this new thinking, a paradigm shift of the way you think,
Yeah.
it's a part of your journey.
Yes.
Releasing the shame and embracing purpose and growing in grace.
Yes.
It's all a part of the journey. Hey, can we pause for a moment? If you've been listening and thinking, I want to be more intentional with my money, but I'm not sure what my next step should be, we've created something just for you.
It's called Your First Step to Financial Fulfillment. And it's a free guided audio experience to help you align your money and mindset with clarity and confidence before you ever book a coaching session.
Inside, we walk you through powerful shifts, faith-led reflections, and the exact steps we guide our clients through when they're just starting out.
You'll walk away with a clearer picture of what's holding you back, where God may be leading you next, and how to finally take that next step without pressure, fear, or overwhelm.
This is the same clarity focus tool we use inside our coaching program, and now we're giving it to you for free.
Tap the link in the show notes or visit www.mytfcoach.com/fulfillment starts here to get instant access, or click the link in our show notes.
Your financial journey deserves clarity, not confusion. So let's talk a little bit about how we create our storehouses. Okay, we've talked about how we need them. Now, how do we create them? Now that we've shared a little insight, on how to overcome savings, guilt, and shame, I want to talk about 4 kinds of saving funds or storehouses that every savvy saver needs.
Yep.
And how to start each one from wherever you are. So, if you save $300 per check, you can allocate across 4 buckets, split according to your priority. To be 25% in each of those buckets, or you can do 40% in one, 40 in another, and then 20 in the other two. How you break it down, it doesn't matter. It's up to you. It's your choice.
Mm-hmm.
If a category is fully funded, you might not put anything in that category and increase another one.
Mm-hmm.
But if that joy fund was all filled up, well, maybe you'll slide 0 in that for this time and put its allocation into the, vacation fund. So one of the funds that I love to have is the rainy day fund, because life happens, y'all.
Yes.
And the rainy day fund is typically our buffer till life happens. Things like car repairs, medical copays that, my goodness, you don't know you're going to need them until you need them. Unexpected fees. Like, these things come, like, what is your health insurance deductible, individual or family? We recently discovered, I'll just say, my husband will be having an echocardiogram. And I didn't know we had to pay $2,000 up front for the test. And then the man, we call, okay, well, we just want to make sure we don't overpay. So the insurance company said, well, he hasn't paid his $5,000 deductible for the year, so that's called copay. Okay, thank you. And then you just, because we got that rainy day fund, life happens, you can do it. So another thing that comes up sometime is, what is your auto insurance deductible? We talked before in another episode about how you can refinance, reallocate, so that you can make sure that you are repositioning yourself to have those deductibles benefit you more than they benefit the insurance company. And keep your monthly budget intact when life throws curveballs. That's another thing that your rainy day fund does.
Yes.
It keeps your budget, keep you from reaching for the credit card or reaching from another pot in the budget. Just get it right out of the rainy day fund, because you've been saving for that. Ideally, in that fund, you want to have $1,000 to $2,000, and that would be your first priority to go to if you need something like we just talked about. Those deductibles, those unexpected fees, those things.
I like that you mentioned that, because I don't think people consider that, especially when you are trying to decrease your premium. And many of the ways to decrease your premiums for your insurance is by increasing your deductible.
That's right.
But when you do that, you're not even thinking that, oh my gosh, I got $1,000 deductible on my car insurance, so that if something happens, that's money that has to come out of your pocket.
That's right.
And so I know some of the other experts talk about, immediately get $1,000, as your, immediate fund, 500 to 1,000. But you really need to take into consideration, the total amount of those life happen things
Oh, yeah.
where you immediately need to pull from that money.
Oh,
So 1 to 2,000, yes, but you have to sit down and go through your, policies and, think about what past car repairs, how much did your tires cost to replace? Think about all of those things and come up with that good money for yourself, like you said, and make that your first priority.
That's right. That's right. Another fund is your emergency fund. And I consider this as your financial shield. It covers 3 to 6 months of essential services. Not a luxury, but a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
It is a necessity. Think about job loss,
Yeah.
medical issues, major life events.
Mm-hmm.
Some people really don't know how to get started and what to save. So consider this: to calculate your emergency budget, in some situations, you can say, how is your income reduced if these things happen?
Yeah.
Okay. Would it be one income if married? Would it be 65% if short term disability? Or would it be income from unemployment?
Mm.
Think in terms of how much income would be lost.
Yeah.
Okay. 65%.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting about short term disability because with disability, usually don't pay out until you're 3 months in or 90 days. You still got to live during that time. You still got
Mm-hmm.
to pay your expenses and your emergency fund.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the 3 months in there, you're right there to be able to grab that. Now, if it's no income coming in at all, you always have to consider what are your minimum expenses to survive in 1 month. Does the reduced income cover it?
Mm-hmm.
This deficit is the starting amount to save for the emergency saving fund.
Mm-hmm.
If 100% of your income is not coming in, then you need to establish an emergency fund to cover 100%
Mm-hmm.
of your expenses. Whether you want to do it for 3 months or you want to do it for 6 months, that's up to you.
Right.
But it is imperative and very important that you do that because you're protecting yourself.
Right.
You're protecting yourself, your household, and your budget.
Yeah.
It's really important.
That number can seem, oftentimes when people look at that number, especially with no income coming in at all, it looks very high. It looks like insurmountable. And it looks like, well, then you have the feeling of, well, how am I supposed to do everything else if I'm trying to build this fund, right? But we told
Hmm.
you can calculate it, you can take your time and do it and still have money in all the varying buckets. And we're going to finish talking about the buckets. But I did also want to say, also consider if you need a starting spot. Like Willis said, will it will you ever be in a position where you have no income at all? Or will that income be reduced? So you might have some income that's covering some of those minimum expenses. So you could start there and be like, okay, well, we got to make sure that we have enough in our emergency savings for the deficit. And then you can build it from there versus not having any income like at all. And when we say minimum savings, we're talking minimum. What do you need to live? That is your emergency budget. The reduced salary and the minimum expenses that you would need to live. So this isn't doesn't include, going out to eat and all the wants
Right.
that are in your budget now. This is only the needs. This is how you're going to establish what you need as an emergency fund, your financial shield in the case of job loss or medical issues or any other
Income
type
loss.
of.
Hmm.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I get the two fun ones.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So Willa got the serious ones and I got the fun ones. But the other fund or storehouse is your opportunity fund. And that's your yes fund for purposeful plans. So think about if you're deciding to launch a business, investing in yourself, personal, professional development, going to school, investing in a course, upgrading your life, and you want to do all of this without going into debt. That's what this is. The opportunity fund is for. The opportunity fund could also include down payment for a future home, um, down payment for a car, just the opportunity fund, the yes fund for your purposeful plans. And the strategy is to, set a total savings goal, pick
Mhm.
your timeline, and then reverse engineer your monthly deposit. So, in other words, if you have 20 months to save $10,000, then you want to make sure that you're saving $500 a month. And I hope that math is mathing because I did that from my mind. So, 20 months to get $10,000, you want to save $500 a month. So, reverse engineer it so you know how much the monthly deposit is. What is the total savings goal? Pick your timeline and then figure out what the monthly amount would be to save. And then you can adjust the total amount that you're putting in your savings by that. And then the final storehouse is your joy fund. That's your
Yeah.
soul tending savings for purposeful living. It's the yes, you can plan for joy, and you should. So think about travel, concerts, hobbies, meaningful moments and experiences. Plan for that in your budget. Plan for that in your savings storehouse. And you could build that, I don't know, $20 to $50 a month, however way you want to do it, in a separate account just for joy. All of these, so you could put all of this money in one savings account and track it on a spreadsheet so that you know um what total amount is in each fund. If you want, you can establish four different savings accounts. That can be expensive depending upon your bank and what your bank fees are. So you take a look at how you want to establish it, but there are ways where you can know where all the money that you're saving, how it's allocated according to each fund. In this way, not only are you being a steward by savings, but you're saving for all the things: the life happens buffer, your financial shield, your yes for purposeful plans, and soul tending savings for purposeful living. So, joy, opportunity, emergency, and rainy day. You can
Mm.
do it.
And you're saving because you are preparing for what God has for you next. Mm.
Yes,
Choosing to save, even when it's hard,
even
is
when it's
telling
hard.
yourself that you believe in a future version of yourself.
Yes,
I believe God has more in store.
yes,
I trust myself to steward what I've been given.
yes,
That's what you're telling yourself.
yes,
That's what those funds are for.
yes.
They're for you to put out there and remind yourself that you believe in that future version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yes. So today we're not just talking dollars. We're talking dignity, shaking off shame, rejecting hustle culture, lies,
Oh.
or should I say rejecting the hustle culture lies? I can't even say it. Hustle culture lies. And choosing God's rhythm
Yeah.
of provision and peace. That's what we're doing today. So let's talk about rhythm and reality. Small is faithful. Start with what you can. It's not about the amount. We gave you an amount as an example, but it's not about the amount. It's about the
Yeah.
obedience.
Yeah.
Automate the deposit, not the doubt. Make saving a line item. Set it and forget it. Pay yourself
Yes.
first.
Yes.
Set it and forget it. Automate it. Celebrate the progress. Each deposit is proof of your alignment with your purpose. And then speak it aloud. Sometimes you got to make declarations. So post this on your mirror. I'm a wise, spirit led steward, and I save with confidence.
All right. All right.
I mean, sometimes we got to rise up because the enemy's noise is so loud that
Yes.
we
Yes.
oftentimes have to listen to that still small voice and affirm it even louder than what we hear the enemy telling us.
I love that. I just love that you're saying, speak it out loud.
Speak it out loud.
So listen, this week, we want you to pick one savings account to focus on. Just one. We talked about four, but we just want you to pick one of those.
Yes.
Set a small goal and make your first deposit.
Yes.
Start where you are, but start in faith.
Yes.
And if today's episode stirred something in you, you're ready to take the next step toward clarity, control, and confidence in your finances. You know, we always seal every podcast, every conversation with the Word of God.
Yes.
So before we close out today's conversation, let's seal it with the wisdom from the Word.
Yes. This scripture is a powerful one to keep in your truth vault as you reframe how you think about savings. And we mentioned it earlier. It's Deuteronomy 28:8. And from the Amplified version, it says,
Oh, the Lord will command the blessings upon you in your storehouses and in all that you undertake, and he will bless you in the land which the Lord your God gives you.
Did you
Get that
hear that?
storehouse, get that storehouse in place so the Lord has a place to bless you. He's going to bless you in your storehouse. If it ain't there, I'll let you finish that.
So, did you hear that? Did you hear that? God doesn't just suggest a blessing, He commands it over your storehouses, your savings, and every good work of your hands. Not only did you hear that, but do you believe that?
Yeah, yeah. Now that means that your savings are not just numbers in an account, they are vessels for blessings,
Oh my God.
evidence of your faith, your foresight,
Yes.
and your obedience to the call of stewardship.
So even if you're starting small, even if you're shifting your mindset around saving, remember every act of intentional stewardship is seen by God, and He blesses the storehouse and the strategy.
Now lock that truth in.
Lock it in.
Let it speak louder than shame,
Yes.
louder than doubt, and louder than fear.
Yes. You're not just saving, you're preparing with purpose for the promises God has placed before you. And we're so proud of the growth that you're stepping into.
Now, in 2 weeks, we'll discuss something we know is already on your heart. And this one will help you help you dream forward with wisdom and intention. We're going to talk about your financial vision for retirement. I love that.
Ooh, yes. Whether you want to retire early, shift careers, or simply stop working for money and start living from purpose, we'll talk through what it means to define retirement on your terms, build in flexibility, and we're going to help you imagine and prepare that future with clarity and courage.
So until then, keep showing up. Keep stewarding what
Yes.
you have and keep trusting that your financial future is worth preparing for because our end goal is for you to activate the power of your steward identity and discover your unique path to financial fulfillment, trusting God, trusting yourself, and trusting the process. Now, don't forget to subscribe. We would love for you to leave a review and share this episode. Bye for now and continue to tap into wealth and wisdom together. Bye bye.
Bye.